Well, how y'all doing today? It is such a beautiful day here today, y'all. I mean, it is like in the 60s. The sun is shining. We got a breeze. It is like beautiful Appalachian mountain weather today. I've got all my doors and windows open, and I've been cleaning and organizing. It's going to take me a good bit to get this house together, but I'm enjoying the process. And today I was going through a cedar trunk and I pulled out two quilts that my mama made, and my mama, she was a quilter, like the old fashioned type of quilters, not the ones that you see in the stores and stuff today. They're all sewn together. All her quilts she did by hand, and most of them were patchwork quilts. Just using whatever she had available, she would piece it together and make a quilt with it. And she would put this really heavy batting in the middle of it. I don't even know what it was, but I remember in the wintertime sleeping under her quilts, and they were like weighted blankets. And let me tell you what, they kept you so warm. So I found one of them, and I'm like, am I going to put it on the bed on the bed in the bedroom, or do I really want to put it out where somebody can see it? So I decided, y'all, that I put this quilt on my mid-century modern couch in my living room because, like I said, I'm eclectic, and I like things to be surrounded by things that I love and I like. I don't so much go for that magazine quality look that everybody's doing, that clean minimalist look. That's not me. And you know what? That wasn't my mama. She didn't have much, but her house was spotless clean, and she had things in her house that she loved too. And that's how I'm gonna be. I'm done trying to decorate like how everybody, the trends and things like that. I'm decorating for me and for Greg, of course, and things we love. So let me show you what I did. I'm gonna flip the camera around here. There it is. There's my mama's quilt on my mid-century modern couch. And it makes me, so it's going to stay there for a while. The only reason I might move it is if I can't keep Doc off of it, because I don't want him to tear it up, and he tends to like to get up on the furniture. I've not trained him not to do that yet. But I think it's too late because he's almost 10, so I'm not going to get there. But anyway, more about my mama, because I've been sitting here, thinking, because it just took me back. Y'all, it was such simpler times then, and I don't know how we got to where we are now, to where things have changed so much, but my mama was completely content with what she had. She didn't really aspire to have a bigger house, newer car, newer clothes, I mean, any of that stuff. She was just always content with everything she had, thankful for everything she had. I mean, I think her happiest place was actually on her back porch, on her swing, watching her chickens. And I remember staying with her a lot, and we would get up in the morning. She'd make everybody breakfast, make her coffee, and she would do her tidying up. And after she tidied up, it was right to the porch. And y'all, she would sit on that porch for a good while. I meant, because she would get her laundry done, and she didn't have a dryer, so when she would wash her laundry, it would go out on the line. And I used to love helping her hang the laundry out on the line. But she would just go through her day and just pace it. No stress, no TV. She didn't have a TV set. I don't even remember having a radio at Mama's house. It was just quiet and peaceful always. The only sounds you heard were the cows and the chickens, and that was it. She did have a telephone, but she wasn't much of a talker. She really wasn't. She was a woman of few words, and you listened to her when she said stuff, because she did demand respect. My mama did not take disrespect from anybody, not her children, not even her grown children, and definitely not from her grandchildren. She was not one to spare the switch if need be. if you weren't listening, you would, and not only did she not spare the switch, you would have to go cut the switch and bring it to her. And if you cut a switch that wasn't to her liking, she would go cut one, and you wouldn't like that one. I think I probably only got switched by my grandma maybe once or twice, and I deserved it. I definitely did deserve it, doing things that I wasn't supposed to be doing. They getting too close to the electric fence, getting too close to the fire, because what they would do, they would build a big fire in the yard to make apple butter or to can and things like that. And they'd always warn you, you know, you need to stay away from that. It's dangerous. And they would tell you one or two times. After that, you got switched. So me and my cousins, you know, we knew. And so you learned quickly not to cross MawMaw, or that's what was going to happen. And oh my goodness, such memories, such good memories with her. She was the best MawMaw. She truly, truly was. And just going back and thinking about how she lived her life versus, you know, how I've lived my life over the years. I wish y'all that I would have sat back and taken in more of her wisdom and maybe lived my life slightly different, because there was just that point, I think, in everybody's life, maybe not everybody's, but at least in mine, where you think that you have to achieve certain things in order to be successful, or, you know, measure up to what the world, you know, defines success as. And for me, you know, that was going to college and things like that. And I kind of wish that maybe I hadn't have done that, y'all. Why? And maybe Greg and I, you know, we left Appalachia to go to Florida for, you know, for a better life for our children. But sometimes it makes me wonder, you know, was it a better life, you know? Because now it seems like everybody is so disconnected. Families are disconnected. We're like all over the place. Like, I have kids in Florida, I have kids in Georgia, and now we're going to be in West Virginia, back where we started from. But my mama, she knew where she wanted to be. She wanted to be right there in the country, right in the house that she had been in forever. And she was content. She didn't want any more. She was fine with what she had. And I remember talking her into coming to Florida. She came to Florida a couple of times. And you know what? She didn't like it. She was the happiest in the country on her porch. And to find that contentment, I mean, how awesome is that, to be able to find that contentment? I found it now. But y'all, it's taken me until I'm in my 50s to realize that. I wish I could have realized it younger, but I think we live in a world now that is so driven with, I don't know if it's because of social media, because I didn't have social media then, but it was TV. Maybe it was TV and all this stuff that tries to tell you that you need this, and that to be happy, to be successful. When my mama knew, you know, from the beginning that none of that really matters. What matters and what mattered to her was family and her home, and keeping her home peaceful, and just the relationship she had with her kids and her grandkids and her husband. That was what was the most important thing to her. Cars, houses, trinkets, none of that mattered. It truly didn't, not to her. And I always, you know, going back and looking at the way she lived, it's like she lived almost 90, and she didn't eat the best diet, and she smoked cigarettes. I mean, probably since she was a kid, but yet she still, you know, lived as long as she lived doing all that. And I often wonder, is it because of, you know, the low stress life she had? Because she didn't care. She didn't care what the world said. She didn't care what was going on around her. And you know what? Here's something else I was just now thinking about. You did not know anything about politics with my mama. I could not tell you if she was a Democrat, Republican, or anything. I mean, she never spoke about politics. She never spoke about anything like that. Yeah, so I'm just like, and now, you know, politics seems to tear families apart and alienates people from their friends and all that, but not mama. You never heard her say a word regarding politics. Now, she would speak of the Lord and things like that, but politics, I couldn't even fathom. I don't even know if she participated in voting or anything like that, but I just don't remember her having an opinion one way or the other about things like that. I truly, truly don't. And it was just, she got along with everybody. If somebody was sick, my mama was the first one there to help them, to bring them a meal, or to just sit with them until they were better. And she just cared deeply for her family, for her neighbors. I remember when I would get sick as a child, she would be right there helping my mom nurse me, helping me, to get better. And that she was just always like that. It was just very giving, very loving. And the families were just really, really tight. And I remember towards the end of my mama's life when she wasn't able to take care of herself, and how, now it seems like when parents and loved ones get to that point in their life where they can't take care of themselves, families tend to put them in care homes. And I'm not saying that's bad. If you've done that with a family member, I'm not saying that's bad. But the life that my mama lived, always caring for people, that wasn't done to her. All of her children, grandchildren, all took shifts and kept my mama at home, and she passed away at home. Same thing with my papa. They both were able to pass away at home, and surrounded by the people they loved and the people they cared for throughout their lives. It's just, things are just so different now, and they seem to be trending worse, in my opinion. I don't know if it is because of social media, because of society, or just Satan, probably Satan, honestly, that the families are just getting torn apart. This whole big thing now with parental and grandparent alienation. I've heard people talking about this a lot lately, where their kids have suddenly just alienated them and aren't talking to them anymore, and just blaming their parents for a horrible childhood, horrible this or whatever. Oh my goodness, my mama would laugh at that. Because there was no disrespect in my grandmother's realm, mama's realm. None. No disrespect. She did not tolerate disrespect from her adult children. She wouldn't tolerate disrespect from her grandchildren. And I could only imagine what kids today would think if they would have been raised or been around someone like my mama growing up. Oh my goodness. Because what they perceive as, I don't know, being wronged or whatever, I don't know. They just seem, I hear people call snowflakes or whatever, that it seems like that to me. I mean, I can understand if your parent was abusive and beat you and was just like that type of parent, but come on now. I mean, if they would have grew up in the 60s and 70s and even into the 80s, these kids, I think they might have a different outlook on things. But I think maybe, I know I was kind of a soft parent. If they were raised too soft, I don't know. But this whole thing, I don't even want to talk about it anymore, because I don't know enough about it, because haven't experienced it really in my life. Maybe a little bit I have, but I kind of take my mama's attitude, and it's like, you know what? If someone don't want to be around me, and even if it's my kids or my grandkids, that's on them. So be it. So be it. And she would be not one to apologize either for things that her kids or grandkids perceived that she did wrong, because in her eyes, I'm sure she would think that she did everything right. And I think she did. But apologizing to your grown kids and grandkids, I think that's ridiculous too. Why? Life is not perfect, and these kids today think life, I think, is supposed to be perfect, and I don't know why. But and they're going to be parents too, and I hope it'll come back to them too. Their kids are going to hold them at the same standard that they're trying to hold everybody else at. And there's no such thing as a perfect parent. And I know one of my kids had told me something about how they had trauma or whatever when they were a kid from something that I did. And then I proceeded to tell them, well, let me tell you about all the trauma that you gave me as a kid and all the things that I have to deal with because of what you did to me when you were a child. They didn't want to talk about it anymore. And I've never heard my kids say anything about that since. But I think that all came about with that particular child of mine because of, I'm going to college. It was a college psychology class that they were in. And they tried to bring that home to me. And I kind of channeled my mama and gave it right back to them. And like, no, that's not going to fly. That's not going to fly here with me. And I learned that from my mama. But anyway, y'all, I could go on and talk about her forever. And I'm going off on rabbit trails on other subjects and other things. And what I need to do is get up and finish my cleaning and get a few more things done here. But anyway, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.